Okay, ladies, how's everyone doing? Ladies and gentlemen, everyone doing good? Good. And so we're moving on to the next agenda. This is the time for question and answer. And I would love to invite Councillor Linda Rice. She is the Cabinet Member for Equalities and Diversity. Thank you so much. Come along and join me on this wonderful stage. Thank you. Let me just give you that mic. I think that's working.
Hello, good.
No? Okay, this one. There we go.
Hello, good evening, everybody. What a great, fun evening this is, and I know that we're talking about a very serious subject, but we've had quite a bit of fun tonight. Well, I have anyway. I'm sure my muscles are aching a bit tomorrow after all that dancing. Anyway, as Anna's just said, I'm Councillor Linda Rice, and I'm in charge of equality and diversity on the Cabinet, and I'll be chairing tonight's panel discussion.
Yes.
So, we know that domestic violence is a cause and consequence of gender inequality. It predominantly impacts women, and the domestic abuse women experience is often higher risk than experienced by men. It is built into the way we socialise our boys and girls. Women across the globe, the country, and in our borough face domestic violence on a day-to-day basis. It is normalised, it is functional, it is part of so many women's lives. Domestic violence is also a symptom of wider social inequality, which upholds the cultural norms that stops victims from being able to seek help or even name their experience as abuse. We need to step away from thinking of equality as the 9 protected characteristics alone and look at a wide range of factors that make up an individual's identity. Where do they live? What do they earn? What is their faith? What is their gender? Their immigration status, their ethnicity, their education, ability, family, status, sexuality, and so on. These inherent parts of a person's identity can be massively impacted by inequality and historical oppression in a way that creates long-term, systematic barriers to accessing our support services. These identity factors can also be such a great source of strength and support for some people. And we need to be able to connect with this for all people experiencing domestic abuse, whether they are enduring it or witnessing it. So today we recognise the lovely Arinola. Don't know where she is now. Where are you? Hello! In the successful release of her best-selling book. I've read it. She sent me a copy, and I thought it was very, very thoughtful, and it really was a powerful book. So we celebrate her achievement, and we also hold space for women who are still disempowered through inequality. And now I think we're going to have our discussion.
Yes, we are. Yeah, let me just... Thank you so much, Councillor Linda. That was beautifully read. And we're going to call on our panellists to come and join us on stage. The first person I would like to call on is Kamal. Thank you. And Caroline. Dr. Ariola, come and join us on stage. The wonderful Azu. And the beautiful Councillor Warby. Thank you. Okay.
I'll sit at the end.
So the panel will now commence. Over to you, Chair.
Yeah. Thank you. So I'm going to be chairing this discussion, which is basically, I'm now going to ask people in the audience if you want to make any comments or if you've got any questions for any of our panellists here. We've got about 20 minutes on this part, so would anybody like to ask anybody on the panel a question? Somebody, please. Have we got somebody? Yes.
This is to the two ladies at the end and Ariola. 3 of you have overcome domestic violence. And there are some that haven't. What's the difference between you and them? Is it that they cannot, or they chose not to?
That's a hard question, right? Yeah, that's a very hard question. Well, we have to try and answer
it. It is a hard question. I think it takes a lot of time, really.
I mean, we'll get you a mic.
I think it takes quite a lot of time because, like, if you are in a relationship or even if you're married, and when kids are involved as well, you really need to rethink the whole situation for the sake of the kids as well. And not only that, you obviously like love the person as well, but so you have to really think. I don't know how many times if you really want to try. So I think it takes time. I don't know if that answers the question.
Can I say something? Oh, no, Caroline. No, Caroline, you go first. No.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Komal. In my situation, because I had my kids, it wasn't easy for me to drop everything and walk out. But then I think the difference between me or us and people who are still suffering is we are not there. We are out of it and we're still there. But it's your choice if you want to set yourself free, make that move. Don't suffer, just get out of it. And I'm sure there are people who will help you to get out of it. It's just that first step you take, I need to get out of it, what matters.
I agree with them. But the thing is, when there are kids involved, it's always a very difficult balance. So I was thankful that my mom was around. I was estranged from my mom because I wasn't allowed to contact family and all that. I couldn't use the phone and all that. But if I didn't have my mom, every time I was told, you can't go anywhere. You can't get away. No one will believe you. You know, that kind of thing. So I think there are so many complex reasons why people choose to stay, because sometimes you just resolve that maybe it's just the best thing, maybe this is my lot in life. That's what I said until the violence was extended to my son, and I kind of woke up. And the policeman was in our house saying to me, why are you still here? I thought, what does he mean, why am I still here? I'm married to this man. Do you know, he sat down, put a chair in front of me, looked into my eye. I felt like somebody was looking into my soul. And then he said, I said I was expecting him to change. He said, darling, they never do. And I woke up. It was like a voice that seared right into me, that got something, did something inside me. So sometimes I think people in the situation need to get to realization. I deserve more than this, I am worth something, and I should be treated with respect. But if they don't have that, then it's difficult. But then there are also the religious factors. I'm a Christian. And the Christians and churches that frown on divorce, and even now, people think I'm ostracized, but you know, I don't care. I was told you have a stigma, and I went, you'll have a stigma too, you know, stigma. So there's so many reasons. And what will my parents do? What my parents say, they will hang their heads in shame. So there's so many reasons. But if they can be supported to understand that first of all, there's laws, coercion and control. People can go to prison for controlling your life. If they begin to understand that there's a reason why they're on this planet, and they deserve more. And if they can be befriended and encouraged to think outside the box and say, when you were growing up, what did you want to become? You know, does it look like you're in that direction, that kind of thing? Because I was told over and over again, think about your kids, but it didn't make sense until the violence went to my kid. And I got up and something rose up in me and I said, that's it, I can't do this anymore. So there's so many complex reasons. That's my final answer.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions?
There's one that's behind you. Oh, wow.
And where was the other lady?
Hello.
Do you want to go first?
No, you can go first.
Hi everyone, I'm Dami. You might see my face on the slides later. I'm Mariana's oldest daughter. I just wanted to ask the people who have shared their stories, thank you so much for sharing, it's very brave. Could you tell us what your first emotion was after getting out of the situation that you got out of?
It was, I think I had to make the decision to walk out, but like I said, because of various reasons, I couldn't do it. It was my ex who decided to walk out. But then whoever decided, I think it was a good thing happened, sorry. To me, I felt when I first got to know it's the end, that's it. I felt, wow, I can do something in my life now, finally.
Yeah.
I said, Lord, thank you for this second life, and I'm going to make the best use of it. This is what I felt when I got to know that I'm out of this domestic violence abuse and abusive marriage.
When I got out of the abusive relationship, I was very happy that I do not have to live like that anymore. I felt like that's it. I'm at my parents' house. I'm not gonna get told, oh, don't contact your parents or your mom. So that isolation period was over. But then after a few weeks, I was actually left with like, wow, I actually got through all of that, and that it actually really hit me. And I think that was when I suffered from post-traumatic stress, I think. So yeah, I think it lasted for quite a while. Then afterwards, yeah, as I surrounded myself with my family and the friends and that positive support system, so I eventually got through it. So yeah.
You gonna wear yours?
Yes.
Do you want to wear your mum?
Wow. I was numb because I remember being carted into the car. It was almost like I was a zombie. I was just following orders. The police came and said, right, get out now. My mom was there. She had the car waiting with my brother. The ex-husband was crying because they held him down. He was threatening all sorts. And he said, the police said, get out now. It was almost like it was somebody else's life. I don't know how, I can't describe it. It was like it wasn't happening to me, you know. And then when I got to my mom's that night, I was just looking at her. And I think she was looking at me and thinking, is this my daughter? I didn't feel like I was there. I didn't feel, I don't know how to explain it. Trying to think back. I don't know. But over the period, I began to feel release, like I was released from prison. It felt like being released from prison, but it wasn't the first day. I remember mom saying to me, would you like some wine? I said, no, I'm a Christian, I don't do wine, no, don't do wine. And I think, I was just sitting down numb. Because here I am in a different environment with my children. I wasn't even thinking about the kids then, it was just about me, you know. So yeah, that's what happened almost immediately, darling. Love you.
Thank you. And I can see that there's a lady with the grey hat on. Oh.
Okay.
And then.
So I found out about this on Facebook, on Sister Maki's Facebook, and I immediately clicked on the link for your book.
Thank you.
And I started reading. I decided to buy it after I'd read the acknowledgement. And the part of the acknowledgement that got to me was when you thanked, when you said thank you to the father of my kids for everything he does for them. And because I have a mother who left her marriage 26 years ago because of domestic violence, and I'm a child who survived, watched my mother go through that, it's an ongoing healing for her.
Yeah.
And I get frustrated sometimes because my father's moved on and remarried, that she says certain comments, and I realise she's healing through it even after 26 years.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing. My question is, how did you get to the point where you can say thank you to the person who hurt you so greatly?
Whew. Right. Linda.
Who would like to answer that one?
She said.
You, Arina?
The book, yeah.
Thank you for asking that. And by the way, if I haven't said thank you for coming, thank you to everybody for coming today. I have to say it to God. I began to understand that if I didn't forgive, I would not be able to move on. And I learned to be thankful for every day. I learned to find joy and gratitude in everything I had, whether it was a council house, whether I was on benefit, or whether I was volunteering. I was grateful that I had something to do to take my mind off things, but it was God. It was God that gave me the strength, because He just said, you know what, dust yourself off, I'm not finished with you yet. I still have work for you to do. And He made me understand that if I didn't forgive, I wouldn't have healing myself, I don't be able to move on. So it was God that helped me forgive. And it gives me joy that I can allow my children to make contact with their dad, because I've never stopped them. Dami will attest to that. I think they need to know, and they need to build their own relationship with him. And I think it's good for them, because they don't have to start taking sides, you know? Because if I didn't forgive him, I'll be saying bad things about him all the time, and I'll be angry. But at least, Dami, yeah, she agrees with me. Okay, so I'm not lying. Okay, yeah. So it was God that helped me. Yeah, thanks.
We've just got time for one more question. Oh, well, okay, two more, that's it. Because the lady in the grey hat, I promised you, and then this lady here, can you wave at me? And I'm sorry, we don't have any more time after that, just two questions.
Okay, so my question is a two-part question. So the first part of the question is to the ladies who shared from the council. So let's say there's anyone in this room this evening who maybe knows someone who's a victim of DV, or they suspect someone is a victim of DV, and let's say they've approached the person and maybe they've offered them advice on the helplines, etc., to call, and the person is adamant that, you know, it's okay or it's not as bad as it seems, you know, that sort of response. What practical advice could you give that person? You know, what can they do in that situation? And then to the three ladies who shared their wonderful testimonies, bearing in mind that some of you said that you wanted to keep it secret and you didn't want to share it, was there anything at the time that maybe suspecting friends or family could have done that would have helped you at that time?
You're going to take the first.
You go.
So I think that's there's a few bits to that question about how we understand early help seeking to begin with, and there is loads of research around early help seeking, and we can particularly pick up on some of that when you hear survivor voice, when you hear people's testimonies, that the first people that are often told are friends or a sister or a family member, and often they're not looking for action or help. People are looking for validation. They are looking to know that they will be believed, because they are being told that they will not be believed. Yeah. They are being told that the world out there won't believe them, and that will actively stop them from getting help. So I think the first thing I need to put forward is that's where all of us can have a part to play, because if we do that validation bit, people often move on to the next stage, which is informal help seeking, which is when they will go to services and just test the boundaries a bit and see how they will validate them. Once they get to that point, then they'll be ready for action. But it takes time to get there, and there is a whole load of theory and the stuff that goes behind it, but you've heard the stories from people, and I can see head nodding, so I'm on the right lines there. But I would also put forward that there is a whole load of stuff going on in people's brains, and sometimes we're moving towards a trauma-informed ways of working. We've got to recognise that this impact of what's going on in the brain, when we're being flooded by adrenaline, when we're being flooded by cortisol, we're not necessarily able to make very good informed choices straight away. So we have to go through that early help seeking process in order to get ourselves to a space where we're able to seek help. So if all you can do is plant seeds, then it is still worth it. Plant those seeds, they will grow.
Right, and what made you leave? What was it that somebody said? What was it that somebody said that made you make the decision? What happened?
What was the question?
What was the trigger that got
What was the trigger that
made you say, that is it, I've had enough?
I would say just perseverance and just the abuse. It got to that stage where I thought that is it. I really need to make that first move. I need to go. And then I eventually decided, I just left the house straight away and I just moved back with my mum. And it just, that was it.
For me, I think it was my kids, because I know I was suffering. I was going through that pain, a pain which I couldn't share because I was asked not to step out of the house. I was asked not to have friends. So I used to just suffer having that in me. But then there was one point where I thought, should I let this continue to be carried on to my kids? Because like Arinola said, she had kept it open for the kids' dad to be a part of their life. In my case, he just left. He said, I don't want anything to do with you, the kids or myself. So that's when I decided, you know what, I need to create this beautiful life for my kids, and I need to move on for those reasons. So that's what made me walk away.
I think as I mentioned something earlier about how I thought that's enough because my son there was violence towards him. But a friend of mine said, I want my friend back. She called me and said, I want my friend back. I said, this is your friend. She said, no, this is not my friend. I don't know who you are, but I want the Arinola that I used to know. She had fun in her eyes, and I want her back. Then my mother called on the phone and was crying and saying, this is not the way we brought you up. You're a doctor. What is going on? And then my father also said something. I think he was weeping on the phone as well. So even though they didn't know, those things were breaking me down gradually and helping me to think, something is not right. I'm worth more than this. Thank you.
Thank you. An emotional discussion. Thank you so much, everybody, so far. We've just got time for one last lady for the final question.
Good evening, everybody. My question is a bit similar to the second to the last speaker, and it's based on forgiveness. I just want to know how is forgiveness one of the therapies or used for you during the healing process, and then how were you able to handle it? Because I believe that sometimes when the memories come flooding in at times. How do you handle it? I just need it. Thank you.
How do
I cry. I cry when I think back. And then I reflect on maybe any good things that happened. So I try and see the good side of him, or try and see any good things he's done for me. But I pray a lot. I pray a lot and I read the Bible. And I ask God for help. I ask him for grace. I couldn't have done it without God. It's so difficult when you think about the pain or the things. Even when I was writing that book, I was saying, God, I don't want to talk about this thing. This thing that's happened. I just pray. I cry, I pray, and I change what I'm thinking. I reflect on good things, and I reflect on the gratitude I have with my kids and how God has blessed me. There's a board game, people talk about it. The BBC called us to do a program. There's so many good things happening. So when I see all those good things, it leaves me little room to reflect on the past. But when the excitement comes from the other side, I just block it. We have technology, just block this, block that. Sorry. I'm looking at my daughter's face. Thank you.
you want to say something? I'm all right. They're all right.
Thank you very much. Can we give our panel a clap, please? I'm now going to hand you over to Councillor Sanchia Alacia, our Mayor of Barking Dagenham.
Did you want to do one more presentation?
Oh,
there's one more presentation.
One more presentation before that. Oh, it's different to my programme.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
It was supposed to be. Sorry. Everybody, thank you everyone for the panel.
My excitement as usual, as Councillor Mobi said, I missed out a friend, and the story is, I'd like to introduce to you Maria Mada, who is doing a postgraduate research in using game technology to teach learning. Please give a round of applause for her. She's one of the reasons why I wrote this book, actually. I went into University of Westminster to ask them to help me design an app for the board game. I came out of the meeting and they said to me, Madam, since you are doing game, can you help us? We have a game. What is the game about? Domestic violence. those to me were pointers that I had to talk about and do something about, telling people. So that's how I got connected with this lovely lady. And over to you. I'll get your slides in a minute. Oh, you've got one. Okay. Does that work? Okay, take this. Good.
Thank you, Arinola, for inviting me to this lovely evening.
Sorry, everyone. Just carry on talking. I'll get to it. You've seen all the.
I did not prepare any speech, but I'm really touched. I started researching domestic violence just to create an interactive game to help young people learn more about domestic violence. What domestic violence is among us, and we are in silence. And as much more we speak, and as much more we involve young people to this, they help them be more open and speak about it. And that was one reason I said, because young people, they like a lot of technology and they play so many games. They play for fun. They like to shoot, they like to build things. And so I said, why not bringing a subject like this for them to play. And then I read somewhere that to initiate teachers, are difficult for teachers to initiate these discussions within the classroom. And therefore, I'm a teacher as well. I worked for many years in secondary education. It's good if you introduce such issues through games. And it's better for them to absorb it better, to accept it better. And I want to tell you, so I'm doing research at the University of Westminster, and I use games for good, games for behavioral change, for social change. And that's why we call these serious games, because the purpose is for learning, it's not for fun mostly. So therefore they are designed for people to help them learn better. So I was lucky to meet Arinola, who actually brought me to all this community of domestic violence. I didn't know much before that. And so I created this, can we say to this, before that, we call it a role-play game, because it involves people who speak to each other about this issue. So we've got here, so the game starts, it's a role-play game. It has 4 parts. Okay, we can move from to the next. The game starts, and we have the player taking part to this, so they can choose their own character. And let's stay here. So this game has to do with characters. So we've got the victim and the boyfriend and the friend, the close friend of the victim, who actually realizes step by step what is happening to her friend. So here we've got the game unfold in six scenes. And because it's a game, we want somebody to have a mission playing this, learning and then getting some keys.
Some kind of reward.
Some kind of reward, yes, some kind of reward for each scene. So for each scene we've got, let's go to the next one. For each scene we've got dialogue. Here is just a snapshot where the 2 friends finally meet. So we see Julia and Emma. The Julia is a potential victim, and Emma is her friend. She has not seen her for a long time, and then they meet finally after Emma insisting to see Julia, and she found out that Julia was forced by her partner to quit her job and being economically dependent on him, move away from their usual area and they moved away to another area. She had to sold her car, and then she didn't see her family for a long time, and she was not allowed in a way to see her family for a long time. And then Emma was trying to contact her and she couldn't, so she didn't have any email because she was forced to shut down her email and her social accounts. And then every year they were going for a music concert, and this year Julia couldn't actually go because she didn't want to ask money from her partner, and so that was impossible. And also he didn't allow her to go alone without him somewhere. So the game unfolds. So here we see threatening message from Mark, the potential the accuser. So the game unfolds, the story unfolds, and then in each scene we've got some questions about the story. So this helps the player to realize what happens, and then we reach to the end. That's it. Yeah. Any questions? Any questions? Yes.
I'd be quite interested in learning a bit more about this. Is it already available? Sorry. Is it already available? Is it something that's already a package, or is it something that's being developed at the moment?
It has reached to a final stage. At the moment, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for participants because I want them to play this game. And at the moment, because I'm on the research, I'm trying to collect some results from the participants, and then, yes, I am ready to make it in a commercialized. Yeah.
Sorry, one more question. Yeah. Just in terms of when it's ready to go and that sort of side of things, I think it would be interesting to know how it ties in with things like safeguarding and that side of stuff. So it'd be useful to have a conversation, maybe. Yeah.
We have to continue the conversation. I told people 6 to 8. Can you exchange the meet after, please?
Yes, later. Any other questions? I brought with me some tablets, so if people want to play or have a look at the game, they can actually see the game and go through it. And also, I will ask something, if I could have some people who may be interested to participate to this research, and they could actually write down their email and I can send the game.
Crystal will help you. She has all the power. She has cancelled the
Oh, thank you.
They have the power.
So yeah, I would like people, it's raising awareness about domestic violence, and it's good to have people playing this game and have a say about it. And
that's lovely, Maria. If anyone has any questions for Maria or anyone that's participated this evening, we'll have a little social after, and you'll be able to do that, but I'm going to pass you back to Hannah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria. Thanks for sharing that game with us. Okay, so finally, we've now reached the end of our event. I hope you've all had a wonderful time this evening. I would like to thank you for all your participation and your support during this event. And just before we round up, I would like to call upon Madam Mayor of Barking and Dagenham, Saskia Alasia, to come forward to speak to us and to also do the voting. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. I'm going to make this quick because I realise we've over the time, but just a big thank you to all of you for coming out this evening. I'm sorry I wasn't able to be here from the beginning, I was at another event, but from what I've gathered, obviously the story is very emotional, very brave women coming forward to share their stories and experience, which we can all learn from, whether we've experienced domestic violence or not. Arilona has given me a long list of thank yous, but I'd like to thank our MC, Hannah, obviously Barking Library for the venue, Pen to Print team for all the work they do to help promote the book, Pastor Tunji for sponsoring the book graphic. You can see the book graphic on the poster there. We have Bicola Oye for sponsoring the refreshments, so it seems to have gone. everybody, as I said, for sharing their stories. We have some wonderful cakes here donated by Miriam and Karen West Wiley, so we thank you for that and we'll be enjoying that soon. All the volunteers that have helped with this event, particularly Dami, Apara, Vanessa and Audrey, all the speakers, all the council staff that have been involved, Cara Cummins, Amanda Baker and Solar Ace Events for their refreshments. So it's just for me to say thank you once again, wish you a safe journey home. As we said, there's limited editions of the book at £10. You can save money, don't give it to Amazon, just buy it right here for £10 and have it signed by the author. So thank you once again and have a lovely evening. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So finally, it's time for you to get your books. Kindly line up over here and get your books. It's only just for £10 and it's time for networking. And we should be leaving in the next sort of 15-20 minutes. So get your books, make sure you get one for your cousin, your mum, your friend as a gift. Thank you all for coming. Have a safe trip home. God bless.
Okay, right, do you have someone to cut these cakes? Otherwise I'm going to go to work. Okay, can you cut them up please? Huh? You can take them at the back. Oh, okay. Take them on the side. Which cake do you want to cut? Which cake would you like to cut? Which one do you want to cut? The middle one. I get started. Yeah, sure. Let me take the knife off.
Just a nice picture. Yeah, the flash. Be quick.
Thank you for waiting.
Yourself in situations. Sometimes I just want to take my coat off and take my shoes off because I'm ready to be myself. But I'm not really going to do that right now.